welcome back, and always a delight when we have time to sit down with Michael Letts. He's the founder and the president and CEO of Invest USA. He's an ordained minister and has spent over 30 years in law enforcement, experience under his belt. He's quite the guy. Michael is also the author of a book entitled Truth, Lies, and Control, Finding Hope in an Upside-Down World. There's a picture of the cover of that book. Pretty informative. He nails it. He has a couple of websites for you, investusa.org. That's one of them, investusa.org, and the other one is michaelletts.us, and that's Letts, michaelletts.us, and there's a picture of that landing page. Brother Michael, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Always a privilege to be with you, Perry. A lot going on, and keeps our life interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure does. I don't know when you're sleeping, but that's okay. We need you on the front line. Hey, I'm just kind of curious. They're still deporting people under this wrangling over the courts. Can you make this simple for us to understand?
Very, very simple. Judge Boasberg, who has no business even having jurisdiction, is questioning the provision of the Illegal Immigrants Act that allows the president to deport anyone immediately under the War Powers Act. That act says that if we are in a state of war, the president has the ability to do that. Now, to give you the president's side, he has declared those organizations as terrorist organizations, which means we are at a state of war. However, the judge is saying if we are at a state of war, there had to be a declaration of war. Only Congress can declare war. So where is the declaration of war? If you look at the provision says that the judicial does not have any review over the matter. It's at the sole discretion of the commander-in-chief. But this is the judge's position. Prove to me that we are at a state of war by having a declaration of war before you use that particular act. Now, why are they still then deporting them? Because the second provision, which has always existed, is the president has the right to deport illegal immigrants, period. However, there is a process. If you come in and ask for asylum, you either have to be granted a date or you have to have a hearing and been denied. Now, in the cases that you see where they are continuing to move people out, they've already had their hearings. They had them years ago under the Biden administration. They were denied asylum, ordered to be deported, but nobody ever did it. The Biden administration had no interest in deporting them. So what the president is doing, we're continuing to see deportations. Those people have already been ordered to leave. That is not in violation of this other judge's order, or is it in question of the War Powers Act? It's not. It's totally different. So you see what's going on there. That's how they're operating under two different spheres. Of course, the president's position is I shouldn't have to be operating under two different spheres. I'm the commander-in-chief. I should do it the way I want to do it. The Illegal Immigrants Act, the War Power Act, allows him to move them immediately. The other provision provides them a hearing first. Of course, here's where they're running into problems. Under the previous administration, the Biden administration, they allowed you to stay in this country until your hearing. You remember in the prior administration under Trump and under this current Trump administration, he has a stay in Mexico. In other words, you can't stay, just wait for your hearing. You have to stay some other place till your hearing is called. So either way, they're going to be deported.
So in the meantime, this has been appealed. So that's the open door for him to keep going?
Correct. Well, remember, it's being appealed on the War Powers Act. That can go on forever. He can still deport as many people who have already been denied asylum and are just still sitting here because Biden refused to move them out.
Where do you think this is going to go, Michael?
Well, I think the Supreme Court has to do one or two things. Either rule in as rogue judges, or I believe the administration would do so for them. Quite frankly, there is always a possibility, people get all upset when you say this, but it's a fact, Perry. We could just ignore lower court rulings. The Constitution only provides for a Supreme Court that allows the Supreme Court and Congress to be able to appoint lower courts to make decisions, but it never gives them the authority in a lower court to make a national decision. That's what they're doing now. They're clearly violating it. And so the president can just simply say, I'm going to ignore those rulings, and you send them all to the Supreme Court. Let the Supreme Court make them decide. In the meantime, we're going to continue to do what's best to protect the American people.
So there's one other point to this that's kind of interesting. As you well know, President Biden was told by the Supreme Court not to forgive those student loans, and he went ahead and did it anyway, and nothing came of it. Now, the only reason I bring that up, a lot of people use that as a comparison, but there's something in play here that's serious, and it's called the precedence of law. And if
Yes.
they don't stop this, it sets a precedence. And I think that's where we need to be serious about what we're doing here.
Well, there's no question. And I think what you're going to find, Perry, people have asked me quite often, how does this get resolved? We know for a fact, Perry, that we have great corruption within our elected officials. We have corruption within the judiciary. The Department of Justice knows about it. We have the evidence. It's time we start issuing indictments and start holding people accountable. I think when you see that, you'll see a different attitude of flexing their muscle to see who's in control once they understand that we're going to hold people accountable for their actions.
Okay. How big of a catch was this MS-13 leader up there in Virginia?
He was third in authority in the country. We have two people above him that we're working on now. But quite frankly, it was a big catch because of the fact he controlled the East Coast, the eastern section. It was only 15 to 20 minutes away from the U.S. Capitol. So he was right underneath our noses. But what it goes to show you is what Kash Patel had to say. When you turn our law enforcement agencies loose to do the job they're trained to do, which is enforce the law, great things can happen. When you weaponize and politicize them, you shut the whole system down, and that's when there becomes chaos for all citizens in the United States.
Okay, I want to swing your attention to the attack on Teslas, Tesla dealers, Tesla's cars. Of course, this is a protest against Elon Musk and what he's doing, but at the same time, they're now destroying personal private property. Where is this going to go, Michael?
Well, here's what the administration has done. We have now made the determination, issued an executive order, and instructed the Attorney General. These cases are now to be treated as domestic terrorism. That's never happened before. Quite frankly, in the past, when under the Biden administration, he ignored it. And if he didn't ignore it, you got a misdemeanor for property vandalism, and that was it. Now, under domestic terrorism, the minimum sentence is 20 years, Perry. And here's what they need to understand. We're going to enforce that. Now, you say, well, you're not going to catch me. Interestingly, all the Tesla cars have cameras in them. So we very clearly can see who's doing it, who's not. We have the technology, even if you're wearing a mask, to be able to compare with photo surveillance and other things. We'll track you down. Now, here's what's going to happen. It's no longer going to be, well, I'll give you a little $50 fine. No, it is a felony. There will be no negotiation of a fine. You're going to jail. The question is how long? So what I encourage people who are listening to this to realize is you're going to destroy your entire life. Not just a matter of a day, a month, a year. You're going to destroy your entire life if you want to participate in this. And we view it serious enough that we're going to nip it in the bud now, or it will get out of control. We'll have a second summer of love, pardon the pun, if we don't deal with it right immediately and right now.
My next question, Michael, it's rhetorical and it seems to be obvious, but I'd like your comments on it. But it seems to me, as we go back and look at, protests and things that are happening now, all what's happening with Tesla across the country, I think, you can go all the way back to some of the great riots that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years. It's always from the left.
It is always from the left. And what's interesting is it's a tool, it's a mechanism for them to disrupt an agenda or a narrative that they don't support. They want to change. Why is this occurring? Let's go back to the basics real quick, Perry. Because of the fact that we have lists, as I just mentioned to you. Epstein list is fixing to come out. We have lists from Ukraine of millions, billions of dollars that have been sent back to politicians in our country as payoffs for those votes. We have USAID, who's been laundering money. We got some people doing some serious crime in this country, and they know that they're fixing to get indicted for it. So what do they want to do? Change the narrative. Let's quit talking about that. Let's find something else to talk about. Let's put people out there protesting something, make that the headline so that they'll forget about what's really fixing to come about.
We're all sitting with our brain on tilt what Doge is uncovering, fraud and fat and all that stuff. And I get it. I mean, if they just stop funding some of this stuff, it'll be a huge savings. I don't know about recovering it, but at least stop the nonsense.
Right.
But sooner or later, and Elon just kind of gave a hint about it the other day, he's looking into why people come into public office at one economic level and leave at another. That tells me they're going to start tracking kickbacks.
They are. And quite frankly, it's not just tracking kickbacks, Barry. President, unbeknownst to the mainstream media, has ordered the Department of Justice and the FBI. We're investigating every member of Congress. You came in with $100, you still got $100, you're going to probably be a 30-second investigation. You came in with $100, you're at $300 million, guess what? We're going to be spending some time with you. And quite frankly, we know the evidence is there. You know, what's interesting, we talked about this with Ukraine, all the money that went dollar-wise, major portion of it came back to NGOs, which gave it to Congress and senators. They were basically paid for their vote to provide that aid. A lot of the ordinances that were sent over there were sold on the black market to the cartels. They're now sitting on the border, going to be used against us by the cartels. That's why we've got operations underway there now. And quite frankly, enough is enough, which gets back to our initial question, how we're going to handle the judicial issue. It's time, and this is what we're understanding in the administration, indictments have to happen. Cameras have to see people being carted off, high-profile people, being carted off in handcuffs to understand that enough is enough. You will pay for your actions, and you will be accountable for it.
So I'm hearing something here from you, and that is the agency between the fat and the abuse to the politician is an NGO?
Correct. Hundreds of thousands of them. We figured out how they work it. This is what they do, Perry, and I'm ashamed to say use the word nonprofit because I have a nonprofit.
Yeah.
But what they do is they create a nonprofit. They'll call it the Policy for Republican Foreign Aid or the Democratic Policy, whatever. They will then go to a congressman and say, I need you to serve on this board, or senator. And here's the difference. By you serving, we're going to pay you a salary of $1 million, $2 million a year. Oh, by the way, the one thing we need you to do by being on this board is we're going to introduce a budget every year for $100 million, $200 million to be funded to us. You just need to make sure that gets through. And that's what happens. And so the reverse occurs when you have foreign aid going over there. They send it back to the NGOs, of which you are a board member, and then, of course, we pass out bonuses.
Are there statutes applied to this, so some of them go free or not?
None of them will go free. But quite frankly, nobody's ever bothered to look under these stones before. We know where they are now. We're looking under the stones. And this is what I want to share with you and your listeners, Barry. It's not a matter of, is there waste in government? Waste to me is I bought a $2 pen that I could have bought at Walmart for $1. What we're looking at is fraud, money laundering, and stealing from the U.S. Treasury. And those are felonies. And quite frankly, I don't care how you cut it. The fact that you got a kickback from it, that is stealing from the U.S. Treasury. It's a felony. You're going to jail.
So is that going to be initiated through the FBI, Kash Patel's organization?
FBI, DOJ, and others.
Okay. So that seems to me that would take a lot of manpower to track all that down.
Here's the thing, Perry. We've already got it tracked. Now, the question is, you raise a very good point, because we are cleaning or cleansing, whatever word you want to use, the FBI to make sure we have loyal agents and people that are not politicized and weaponized. We got to make sure we have enough to serve all these warrants. We're still working on that right now. But why do you think we've got 30,000 beds at Gitmo waiting for people? Those are not for drug dealers. Those are not for illegal immigrants. Those are for the people who committed treason and fraud against this government. And I'm not so sure 30,000 beds is going to be enough.
Can you, last question, Michael, given the change, it's only been 90 days, what, from your perspective and your involvement, what is the feeling and the atmosphere inside the FBI and the DOJ these days?
It's one of optimism that we're heading in the right direction, because nobody wanted to be involved with an agency that was viewed as being corrupt. But it's also great apprehension. And here's the reason why. This has been going on for decades, Perry, not just weeks. So how deep does it go? Is the person sitting across from you, is he with you or is he against you? And so they're kind of wondering who's what. And that's causing some concern, as it should be. But quite frankly, your actions will speak louder than your words. We'll get it all sorted out very shortly. Then we're going to go after this major crime that's affecting our country.
Does a Comey and a Schiff ever being brought to justice?
Comey is already under investigation. You can count on it. You can take that one to the bank. And Schiff is fixing to get his due next. So yes, and those are just two. Remember, we said we've got 30,000 beds at Gitmo that we expect to fill. The number of people, not just currently, but former presidents, former senators, congressmen, former heads of agencies, former judicial judges. We're coming after everybody that broke the law, because you can't not do that. You'd have a two-tier justice system if you did.
You're amazing. Thank you, buddy.
So hang on. Get your 2 bags of popcorn, Perry, because it's going to get interesting real quick.
What's the Lord telling Michael these days?
To hurry up and get this done, because I'm tired and want to go home.
All right, let me give you his website, investusa.org. Let me tell you to encourage you looking into this because he helps provide, yes, bulletproof vests to a lot of police agencies that don't even have them. You can also go to michaelletts.us. That is his personal website, and check that out. God bless you, friend. Good to see you. Stay in touch.
God bless you. God bless America, Barry. Take care. Good to see you.